there's all of these legends about the bullet ant. The pain is horrific for a full day. They call it a bullet ant because it's like getting shot by a bullet. This episode of Becoming Brave is brought to you by Summit Adventure Fuel. Unlock your next adventure and get there. All right, guys, here we go. Another podcast, another Becoming Brave episode. And this is a very special one because we're going to dive in deeper to the origin of the Brave Wilderness Sting video. I'm your host, Mark Vins, co-founder of the Brave Wilderness YouTube channel. And I'm joined today once again by my fellows in adventure, Andrew and Asa, the guys who travel the world with me and also do all the editing. We do project design, all kinds of stuff. Welcome back to the pod, guys. Let's dive into this world. Where do you guys want to start?
I think we got to start with the most famous of all. How I first found the Brave Wilderness channel many years ago myself as a fan.
Ooh, okay. Which one would that be? We've done a few.
Yeah. There's well, I kind of climbed the original Sting index with you guys, and so first found the Cow Killer, which was a very exciting video. That was like I had never seen anything like that online before, but then it ultimately built to the legendary bullet ant.
Those are biggies.
Yeah, I don't know which one I started. It was one of those two, but I actually don't remember which because I think I watched several on the same day. And I was like, these guys are...
There was a good vortex to go through. It was like a rabbit hole, you know? You guys had lore.
Yeah, I mean, well, you mentioned the Cow Killer. That is easily, like, thinking back as a life experience, the video that changed the game. Like, that moment, definitively, I remember being at the gas station and looking at the gas pump go, and then getting in my car and looking at the phone, and the 100 spot and the subscriber count was going faster than the gas pump was going. Granted, gas is more expensive today, but yeah, like we got over 300,000 subscribers in the launch day of that video.
That's wild.
Was that your first like mega viral video?
Like that? Yeah. I mean, we've had viral videos, of course, many over the years, but nothing has even come close to that. That was a breakout moment.
Is that still the all-time number one? We can check real quick.
Yeah.
What, if we just go to popular?
Yeah.
Let's go to Dink. Yep.
Oh, man.
85 million views.
Wow.
The next being the Bloodworms, Cactus Attack. Got a Tarantula Hawk up there. There's the Bullet Ant. Bullet Ant's still strong. Top 10.
Oh, yeah.
63 million views. Not too shabby. But yeah, that Cow Killer, guys, that was, for a lot of reasons, that one really cast, what was going to be the future of our Bite Sting experiments on Brave Wilderness, particularly like the thumbnail. This is the first one where I was making the thumbnails back then. And the first one that we really went with this like finger stinger design. And now I would say just looking at this top list of videos, it's become pretty iconic. But that was all brand new. And that's a real photo too, by the way. Like we use Photoshop now to try to recreate a lot of these. But that's legit. We sat there for probably, I don't know, an hour and a half
trying to
get that with the macro lens. I'm sure if Coyote were here, he would tell you how annoyed he was with me. I'm like, it's not quite right. It's not quite it. Get it better. But this video not only established us as an international YouTube sensation, but it really like built the framework of all the videos to come. Like the sting table, the how we examine the insect before we do the sting, the getting the sting shot, that fishing around with the stinger, like all those like tropes that are now like almost automatic for us. They all come from that video.
What was was this the first like true sting video? Or what was the first time you guys deliberately took a sting?
Well, so if you go the original, get hurt and find out video that we did was Quilled by Porcupine.
Oh, okay.
We did that in Montana. First trip to Montana.
That was a real old school one. I remember seeing that.
I wonder if it's on the top list. There it is, right there. 47 million.
Wow.
Oof.
So at the time, we were making normal animal adventure videos, which were based on like going out into the environment, identifying creatures we could find or catch, presenting them to the camera, and then working our way through an ecosystem. That's
old herp.
Yeah, herping, that animal, get your hands on it adventure was the original Brave Wilderness content. But at the time, YouTube was really starting to galvanize or, consolidate into like categories. And there was a lot of like how-to videos.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, man, we need to really compete with this, growing, megaverse of creators. What's our how-to video? And it was like, well, what do you do if there's like an accident with an animal? How do you fix it if you're stung or your dog gets quilled by a porcupine? Because there was a news article when we were in Montana about a dog with a face full of quills.
No.
Like how do you deal with that besides like freaking out and going to the vet? And with the porcupine, there's a very clear way to deal with removing quills. But of course, we're not going to like volunteer a dog that can't volunteer to do this. And I was working through this idea with Coyote in the field, like in real time, because we had a porcupine we could work with. And I was like, let's go get a turkey leg from the supermarket. And he was like, nah, I'm just going to use my hand.
Wow.
So yeah, that was very much eye-opening for me as a friend to see my friend go through that. This was the very first time we like put our blood and flesh on the line intentionally. And you can see that it definitely worked.
Yeah, it's 47 million views. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Would you say that's one of his worst, like, spike sting things he did?
No, not even close. That's child's play.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, bitten by an alligator sticks out in my mind. Is like,
ooh.
I was just watching it, be like, this is really dumb.
Yeah.
This is really dumb. But also a good reason to not get an alligator as a pet. Like, we always do things with like a real cause and effect. Like, we want the effect to be positive. So with the quill by a porcupine, it was very much like, if your dog gets quilled, this is how you properly remove them. And these are the risk factors, like, like the quills can chip off and get lodged in your skin. That can actually work their way to your heart. It's actually very dangerous to get quilled by a porcupine. Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend doing any of this stuff, but that video sort of opened up this window into this trial and error. What's the worst case scenario? How do you fix it? And we were doing this for a little while. Coyote did a mound of harvester ants in Arizona on one of our trips, where he like put his hands down in harvester ant mound and just got annihilated. I actually got stung a lot too. They were like rifling up my pants and stinging me on my legs.
Yeah, we've seen a few on our travel to Arizona. They are no joke when they're like right by their hole. They are fierce.
They're actually one of the most toxic insects in the world. I believe. Yeah, if you look at the there's a toxicity index, and if you look at it like per milliliter, that's the worst one. Harvester ant venom. They just happen to be so small, and you're getting such a small dose that they can't do much more than a little welt. But that video did well. Then we did fire ants in Florida. Did bitten by an alligator. We did a lot. Coyote. Like I was there with him, thought partner, director, making these videos, but he put himself through all these things. Like bitten by alligator snapping turtle. That was a wild one. That's probably another. We got to have him on the podcast. We can relive all these. Oh, yeah. But we were doing all these before we found the bite sting index, which is what led us to doing the cow killer. That's where that video came from, and that's probably a good time to plug. I brought this with me. This is actually one of my very prized possessions of memorabilia from the Brave Wilderness days. This is The Sting of the Wild by Dr. Justin Schmidt, who's sadly no longer with us. But this book was fundamental to what led to the ultimate success of the Brave Wilderness channel. And Justin was the first scientist to ever go around the world volunteering himself to get stung. I think it's like 80 or more insects. This book chronicles it.
Wow.
And we read this book and we're like, oh my God, this is insane. This is so amazing that this guy like willingly got stung by all these creatures so we could rate them on a sting index. So Justin was the original creator of the sting index. And we were like floored by the fact that someone would do this. And it was so close to some of these other videos we were doing. We were like, hey, let's make a video journal of these stings. That's a great like content thread. While we're still doing all the other content, by the way, we're still making like herping videos, catching snakes, catching turtles, doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But this was definitely like an interest of ours to pursue. And the cow killer, I think, is it in this book? The cow killer is one of the top. It ranks as a 4, I believe. It's a 3 or a 4. I don't have the index with me, but it's high. So we started there, and it just went bananas. But before we move forward, the reason this is a prized possession is not only because of its significance to Brave Wilderness in my life, but it's because we actually got to meet Justin. We got to spend time with him, film the video, and check this out. Signed copy to me.
Oh, wow.
It says, to Mark, with very best regards, go photography. He saw me with the camera, so he assumed that I was like a nature photographer, which I guess I am. But that's the time we got to hang out with the one and only Justin Schmidt, R.I.P. man. He was a legendary dude. But yeah, that's very fundamental to the lore, the canon of Brave Wilderness.
Did that give you the idea to start getting stung, or was it already kind of a thought and then you guys did some research and found that?
We found this after like the harvester ant sting.
Okay.
The idea of like, hey, how do you treat first aid if you get swarmed by harvester ants? What can be done? That was all before we picked up on this book. It was actually in the comments. People were like, get stung by the bullet ant, get stung by this. People had already caught on to this. That's what led us to it. Read the book. Like I said, super inspiring, and was like an aha moment. Like, oh, we could follow along this path. This is cool. And you get a lot out of it. I mean, there's no question how much learning comes out of these videos.
What made you guys choose to do cow killer first?
We found it first.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
you guys know, like, people think that we have this like grand plan of the order of the videos, but the truth is we're opportunistic. We're finding things, and if it fits the menu, we do it. And that
very
cow
cool
killer,
looking.
yeah, I mean, it's a very cool animal. Let's pull it up. Yeah, this is the first time we did a sting table. That was actually from inside our rental house. We didn't have any equipment. The only thing I bought these capsules. So like those capsules, I bought those on Amazon. Now they've become sort of synonymous with all of our sting content. These like cool entomology looking capsules. Yeah, I had this idea of, let's put the cow killer on your forearm and see if it'll sting you. Like we still didn't know we had to intentionally like induce a sting yet. That's how early this is. I mean, this is like the first one. It was me, Coyote, and Chance Ross. Chance, who's still with the company. Like, we filmed this video, and I'll never forget it. Like this, we like literally drew it out, like over dinner one night. We're like, okay, this is how it's going to work. There's a sting table. There's a camera here, camera here. Here's how we're going to capture the sting. Because you have something this big, and how are we going to film that? How are we going to capture this moment? So it was very much a R&D, but I'd like to say we got it pretty close the first time. So you can see it's just running around.
It's a good looking velvet ant.
It is. Bright red with the stripes on the back. They have the largest stinger to body size ratio of any insect on the planet. And I've been stung by one. They definitely hurt. There's no doubt about it. So you could see this didn't work. So we had this moment. This is like a real break. We broke and we're like, okay, that didn't work. Luckily, I had bought these forceps. See these green forceps? Also now, very iconic. We use red ones now. But yeah, that was also an Amazon special. Had a bunch of those. I feel like I'm plugging Amazon. I'm not intending to do that. But that's the truth. Bought them on Amazon. They ended up coming in handy because the next idea was let's just hold the insect, because that's when we were getting its stinger firing out, and just lay your forearm there and take it. There's Chance right now. Shout out to Chance Ross, OG Brave Wilderness. Yeah, look at that. So I'm filming this. And this moment right here, like seeing that stinger fish around, you guys know when you're filming, you're like, this is gold.
Yeah.
Pay dirt.
This is pay dirt. And I'm seriously interested how bad it's going to be, because you read this book And out of all the insect stings that Justin had taken, like we had no experience at this point. I mean, no idea how Coyote's going to react. Like he might have to go to the hospital. We don't know, but we know it's a top sting. So I'm watching this and I'm like, oh man, fireworks are about to go. Yeah, it hurts. I'll vouch. Oh, look, there I am. Just to prove. Why did that not scrub forward?
The frame before.
Look at that JVC over there.
I know that thing's sticking out to me.
Oh yeah,
Old
that
school.
was this that JVC camera, guys, has an incredible minimal focusing distance.
Oh really?
You can just get right in there. Of course, we're dealing with like a, not even a 1080 camera back then, but it was awesome for getting some of those early
macro, yeah.
early macro, and like that under horizon shot of the insects. Insects look so cool when you're below the horizon. Gives them that hero look. Yeah, look at that old GoPro. My goodness, that thing is old. Original Brave Wilderness hat.
The old
C100.
school look always stuck out about Brave Wilderness. Like it had a kind of like Crocodile Dundee thing going for it.
Is that the same XLR cable that we have going into this wide angle right now? I think it is.
It is. Yeah. Well, I was buying red ones for a while, so it might not be the exact. I doubt it. This probably died on some like jungle adventure, but that is the my first Cinecam. That's the C100 Mark II.
A classic.
Classic. But yeah, that's me filming. Yeah, started as
If you're not a camera guy, that's like the old Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
It's just super reliable, gonna do what you need.
So yeah, this video had a wrap up, and that was it. Just gonna close out of that now. So yeah, the cow killer, I'll never forget that day. We were seeing growth in the channel. We were seeing we watch the real time results just like we do now when we release a video, and that spike was good. It was like the biggest spike we'd ever seen. So we're all like high-fiving. And then, I would check the sub counter throughout the day, and it was like another 10,000, another 10,000, 80,000, 150,000. It was just...
That feeling must have been incredible.
Yeah, it was the biggest rush we've had in terms of like a release of a video. There's nothing that compares to that. And it was, to me, I knew life was different that day. Because we were certainly doing okay, and we were getting along, and we were like getting the idea that we could do this as a living. Because the first 2 years of the channel until 2016, Coyote and I were essentially running the channel as a part-time job. We had regular jobs, so we would get off work at 5 o'clock, go right to the editing bay, or go to his office actually, and we would work until we couldn't stay up any longer, call it a night, and then do it again, and then work all weekend long. We would take trips on all our vacation. Every ounce of extra energy we had went into Brave Wilderness. And then in 2016, it like got to the point where we made enough money. We're like, we can quit our jobs. And that's how videos like this started. So this was the summer that we were actually doing it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
What was Coyote doing before he was Coyote?
He was working for a family shop doing ink printing design. So, like the surfaces, like this book has a certain coating and ink.
Yeah.
He was designing those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had very normal jobs. I worked in construction. So, yeah, it was very much a plan B to get to plan A. And that moment with the cow killer was like, it's happening. It was awesome.
How soon after you did Cow Killer did you guys venture down into Bullet Ant? Because it was...
So we did Cow Killer, Tarantula Hawk, and did we do one other one? I think we did one more on that trip in Arizona. Arizona was like the gift that kept on giving. Arizona and Costa Rica are like hallowed ground for Brave Wilderness lore. Filmed so many videos there.
How many trips did you guys take before you got into doing the stings? Like, how many production trips?
Oh, a lot. I mean, even before we launched the channel in 2014, there's like 4 or 5 years of development. We were trying to get Brave Wilderness picked up as a television show. It's called Brave Wilderness. and no one would buy it, which I think all those people who rejected us back then are probably kicking themselves right now. But it was good for us because it allowed us to not only like develop the character of Coyote Peterson, but it allowed us to, me to develop my camera techniques and our editing techniques and all those things. We would not have started with as much momentum had we not had those like 4 or 5 years of grinding it out and getting a lot of no's. Mm-hmm. But in terms of trips for the Sting videos, that was probably our 7th or 8th actual production trip at that point. Mm-hmm. So we had done a lot. The first summer that we filmed in 2014, before we even launched the channel, we did 3 trips. We went to Montana, we went to Arizona. We did not film any of those videos in Arizona. And then we went to Florida. And we had filmed a bunch in Ohio. So technically 4 locations to launch. And then as soon as we started gaining momentum, we went like back to Arizona. I think we went back to Montana, back to Florida. Those are places where we had friends and we could like crash on couches. The flights were cheap. Didn't have to go very far for like a quick weekend trip. Cause again, we were doing it as a part-time job. So it's not, we couldn't go anywhere for like 2 weeks. Had to be like 3 days. It kind of blows my mind how much we got done in 3 days. Like a 3-day trip, we would film like 7 videos. It was bananas.
Yeah, that's nuts. You must have been doing it just nonstop.
Yeah. Like, how we
Cameras
have like
up.
a prep day now, like we get somewhere, we like have a little base camp, stage up the gear, charge the batteries, meet with our location people and all that. No, it was get off the plane with hiking boots on. Cameras are rolling as soon as the car is in park. Like it's just like, go get it. It was the Wild West. And, the Bullet Ant video, which you mentioned, that was sort of a destination point for us because the Bullet Ant for Justin was his number one. And even when we met Justin, I asked him point blank, I'm like, is there any insect on the planet that you think is more painful than the sting of a bullet ant? And he wasn't even like, kinda, no. Deadpan, like zero question in his mind. So, and he writes about it in the book, which I highly recommend. Still in print, still buy a copy. The bullet ant was like a finish line of sorts for us. We didn't really have a game plan beyond that. Mm-hmm. So we actually went to Costa Rica to film the bullet ant video. The first time we went, we were on the west coast of Costa Rica, where you guys haven't been on the west coast yet. So the west coast of Costa Rica is a totally different region and ecosystem. As soon as you cross over that divide where the mountains are, you on the east side is where the bullet ants live. We were on the west side. We found what was called a hairy panther ant.
Ooh.
And we filmed a whole video getting stung by this ant. And it was pretty good. Like, it was a good video. But when we got home, we found out it wasn't a bullet ant.
Oh, no.
So we had to scrap the entire video. There's definitely like a lot of cool videos that we have never released that are still floating around on our hard drives.
Stung by the panther ant?
Yeah, it's a good one. That feels like there's some meat there.
We should re-release that. I should call Coyote. We should talk about that and be like, is there any way to like just put a
disclaimer,
bright red disclaimer in the front and be like, we were dumb and didn't know that it wasn't a bullet ant. But that trip got us in contact with Brian from Costa Rican Amphibian Research Center that is on the East Coast, which you guys have been to multiple times. At least you have, Andrew.
Oh, yes.
And that was the location where we finally filmed the now infamous bullet ant video. And even though the cow killer has more views, like an organic viral video, the bullet ant stands alone to me in terms of our history as like the Babe Ruth moment, like calling our shot. Like we were building up to that video and it just rocked. And the only thing that we messed up with on this video, like I want to get into it, obviously people are interested, I'm sure, about the sting and how we got into that mindset. But when we released that video, we had called our shot. We were like almost like teasing it in prior videos before he had even filmed it.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
It was like right before Christmas. I think it was the 21st or 22nd or something like that. And Chris, who edits on our team, he and I had to like pull an all-nighter and uploaded it. It was a 7 a.m. release. I uploaded it at like 5:45 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
We were literally sleeping in the office as it was exporting, and the exports took way longer.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Not fast as they are now. But yeah, I mean, that's like probably TMI for people who don't make videos. But yeah, that video was a labor of love. We went out and shot it like 2 weeks before we had to put it out, and we had already told everybody it was coming. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Talk about calling your shot. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably good context to like talk about the video. I'm curious your experience as, the audience back then. Like, what was it like for you guys to see like the cow killer and the progression all the way to the bullet ant?
It was such like a, there was so much lore around it. It felt like the whole Brave Wilderness ecosystem was something that I could go to. And like, once I found the cow killer video, I think the Tarantula Hawk was also released by the time I had like gotten onto the channel, but like just to see how much stuff you guys had done before was very cool. So it was like a very like sticky web of content that was all related, like all with the same like, thematics, but it was really cool to like go down this little rabbit hole. And then there's still live upcoming, like the ultimate challenge of Bullet Ant.
Yeah.
So it was very exciting. It felt very lively.
We were releasing a lot of content. It was 3 times a week back then. The videos were shorter.
Yeah,
for sure. Even though I'm looking at these now, I'm like, the Bullet Ant video was 20 minutes. Oh my gosh. Most of the videos were like 7 minutes like this, like the 7, 8, like these are original videos. But they, over the years, have gotten longer, of course. Asa, what was your experience? Did you find these later, like well after, or you?
It wasn't well after, but it was like definitely within the swing of you guys doing the kind of climbing the mountain. I feel like at this time on YouTube and the internet, there weren't as many people doing like high production value projects, and it very quickly spread, at least because I was in like high school. And it being like, have you seen the guys that are like taking like the worst, like they put insects to their arms and take like crazy stings and bites and stuff, and it's just like, a little like Jackass back in the day.
Yeah,
but it kind of had that level of virality early on that like a lot of things didn't. So it was like, I remember watching with like some friends. Someone introduced me to it because it was kind of like, school ground talk.
Yeah, and then there's a rabbit hole to go down. Like, I feel like that was the magic of it for our channel. Is like you see one, and then you're
there's
just
like an infinite vortex.
That was always
more
exciting too. If you found a channel that actually had other good videos to back it up, because it was so
rare.
common for there to be like one cool video on someone's channel, and then everything else was like whatever. But you guys were so consistent with having like high quality videos out there, and then also doing an actual kind of ranking system and like consistency.
Yeah, it's cool to hear these stories because, for me, I lived through it. Was very much like, how we make videos now. It's by the time they come out, it's in your rear view and you've moved beyond it. And it's cool to see the audience react and the views, but you don't really have time to hear the real experience like this. Let's talk about the first Bullet Ant video, which I know I want to get to the point where we're talking about the ones that we filmed because I've done the Bullet Ant sting now too, but the original Bullet Ant sting video. Reading this book, the legend of how bad this insect sting hurt was at its zenith. I mean, they call it a bullet ant because it's like getting shot by a bullet. That's why it gets this common name. And of course, the Satyr Maori tribe down in Brazil does the bullet ant gloves, which is also infamous as like a rite of passage. So there's like all of these legends about the bullet ant floating around the internet and on YouTube, and we're going into this as the guys that are supposed to like plant the flag on what it's really like. So it was a lot of pressure, and we didn't help ourselves by pre-calling the date. And I remember Brian, when we first met Brian, he had the reserve, and he usually just had photographers coming to film. And we called him, and we told him what we did, and we were looking to get stung by a bullet ant. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I get stung by bullet ants all the time. Like, no big deal." So because of our mishap with the hairy panther ant, we were a little nervous. So we're like, "Can you send us a picture? Are you really sure?" And of course he was right. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he's a taxonomist. But he said, "Yeah, I've got tons of them. Come on down." So we go down to Costa Rica, which at this point we had been to Costa Rica 3 or 4 times. Still early on in our Costa Rica travels, but we were confident. Our buddy Roll, what's up, Roll? If you're listening to this, came with us. He knew Brian. That was the connection point. And as soon as we unloaded our bags up at the top lodge, that we base our gear at, walked down the hill and we saw the bullet ant tree. And I kind of want to dive into this because my mindset of bullet ants now is much different than it was at this point. Let's skip this here. So the original bullet ant tree right there, this tree right here, and there's a giant nest all around this tree.
Is this where the leaf cutters are now?
No. This colony has they're gone. They've up and left, which happens. Colonies, they get big and then they collapse and they die and then they swarm, because we know that bullet ants also have wings. We can talk about that in a bit. And then they make a new colony. But this tree was the one that Brian took us right to. He's like, there's your bullet ants. And the bullet ants are just crawling all over this thing. And then they're crawling around us. And we're thinking that, oh, this is like getting shot by a bullet. I was nervous. I was walking on my tiptoes around this tree. There was probably 7 or 8 coming out of the hole, which is right around here. You'll see in a second. Let's get to that point. There it is. Yeah. So they're big. It's the largest ant in Central America by a lot.
There's no question about it. I was in there trying to get a single ant, and they started swarming out. Okay, this just went from slightly dangerous to extremely dangerous because there was one who crawled up on my hand and I just got startled.
So you could see how anxious we are.
That's got to be real.
It's real.
Oh man.
Now, what you don't know is we're also anxious because we're like, woo, we're going to pull this. We might actually make good on this promise. Because we had done promos and every video was like, the bullet ant's coming, the date. We were going all in on this idea. So for me, I was relieved, but I think for Coyote, he's had to be like, I've actually got to go through. I've got to be the first one.
Right.
To get stung by this thing.
Big question mark.
What's it actually going to be like? Now they're crawling. We had agitated the hole a little bit. So we had no knowledge about their mannerisms. We didn't know if they were an instant sting. Are they going to swarm like harvester ants?
Whoa.
Just crawled right in.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could see I'm relieved. I'm thank God.
Look at he's smiling.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm definitely pumped. And Coyote is too.
Yeah.
We had a lot riding on this. So, and for us, this was the finale. This was this is probably the last one we'll do.
Little did they know.
They know.
Yeah.
A lot more coming. But the first bullet ant sting, this was a huge moment. We have filmed together many videos, 3 of us in this same spot where the bullet ant sting was done. This is the first time we used this spot. So in the middle of the rainforest, there's not a lot of sunlight. The canopy scatters the light like crazy, as you guys know, but people listening may not know. And there's this one clearing at Brian's reserve where there's also a little hut, or what would you call it?
Yeah, hut is probably apt. It's just
it's a roof.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's
tin roof and
with bats.
Yeah,
there's bats. But so it was good for staging gear because it rains a lot. Okay, and then it had this great clearing. We were trying to find, can we film it with the bullet ant tree in the background? Trying to be artsy fartsy about it, and it got to the point where we couldn't find anywhere. We're like, let's just film by the hut. And now we film there almost every time we go to Brian's. But the table, we carried this down from a hardware store. So this is before we had a collapsible table. So when I watch this video, I remember it for different reasons, obviously. That's the JVC camera.
Yeah, it's got a really interesting look.
Yeah,
it looks great.
I like the fringing at the edge of the frame. It's kind of artful,
This is before the iPhone had a decent video camera.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this was the iPhone can do better than this today. But back then, this is as good as it would get.
Yeah, and it's like tack sharp. Like it's over sharpened, but it works for when you're shooting something like that.
And Coyote shot a lot. So Coyote is a good cinematographer. He shot a lot of those too.
Pick up the ant, place it onto my forearm, and I'm going to take a sting.
So yeah, that tape. When I see this, I think about how heavy this table was.
That
I had to
was
carry it down there.
It's like a brick.
Yeah, it's like a mile and a half into the jungle with that thing, and then a mile and a half out. But the sting itself was wild. I'm gonna watch this.
Oh, that's a sick shot.
Yeah, I love that with the mandibles coming down. Let's jump to the sting.
Oh my gosh, this is it. 3. Oh, it's stuck in my arm! It's stuck in my arm! Oh, the stinger is stuck in my arm! Look at that! Oh! Okay, it's off, it's off, it's off! Oh my gosh! Oh my god!
When it got stuck in his arm, you're like, again, this is gold. Like,
Right.
that couldn't have gone any better. So I know he's in pain right now, and I know how that feels. So in retrospect, do I feel a little guilty? Yeah, I felt bad for being so pumped. But yeah, this is a real deal. Like, he got lit up by that bullet ant. And of course, I have my "Are you okay?"
Iconic.
Were you guys aware of that, or is that like a fringe Brave Wilderness fan thing? Did you know about me asking him if he was okay?
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah,
If you had seen the previous ones, it was pretty clear.
Yeah, it's kind of it was a running joke almost.
Yeah, it was like our first viral meme
Yeah.
for the brand, and we even made a T-shirt.
Yeah,
Like,
I
"Are you
actually
okay?"
I know that. Yeah.
So, that is the video that really, I think, planted the flag that we're here to stay, right? You have one breakout moment like the cow killer, and this was our call. We called our shot. This is like our second album success, right? Bands there's a lot of one-hit wonders. That video is what solidified us as we're here to stay. We're a staple. We're not a one-hit wonder. And that's really, we did the Executioner Wasp on that trip as well. Wait, did we do it on that trip? No, we didn't. Subsequent trip. We found the first one on that trip. We saw them and didn't do it. And then we came back and did the Execution Wasp. And that was Coyote semi-retiring. He kind of did a Michael Jordan. He's unretired now. But yeah, that was his last sting for quite a while.
Where's how many views does Warrior Wasp have? The original.
I think it's like in the 40s.
Did we pass it?
Gosh, there's so many that landed in the 40s, which is a
many great
huge
ones.
number.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
24.
24.
So it was the Warrior Wasp, and then the Executioner Wasp was the last one after. So we filmed. That's right. We filmed the Executioner Wasp and the Warrior Wasp on the same trip. That was a different trip. Whew. Good walk down memory lane. That's me thinking back on just like the whole history of Brave Wilderness. Like, I had a lot of fun. Like, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wasn't getting stung, so that's nice. But
when was the first time that you were stung by a bullet ant? Was it on camera?
No, I definitely took a micro sting when I went on that trip. It happened. We didn't film it. But yeah. No, I didn't get stung like your first trip.
No, you did the most.
The
every bit of
60-second pump.
You possibly could.
So without question, like, the first wave of sting videos, credit to Coyote for going through all that. And he had sort of left it. He was like, Execution Wasp, that's my number one. Done. Moving on. Getting back to some of the basics, if you will, like, making other wildlife adventure videos. We, of course, got our series with Animal Planet, Brave the Wild, did 20 half hours with them. And during that, the YouTube channel sort of was left. We were making this other show. I spent almost 3 months. It was definitely like 2.5 months at least in Australia.
Oh,
and
wow.
This is the same team that uploads all the videos. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we can't like make a TV show every day in Australia and think you're going to keep the the content going. And we had this idea of re-releasing content with maybe some director's cuts or combine. And, you know, the audience doesn't love re-uploads. We know that. But that's all we could do because we're making this television series, which we were super invested in. But the YouTube channel really started to like decline at that point. Like we started to see the views go down. Things weren't happening quite as vibrantly as they used to. And it became clear that we need to make sure that this audience, our core audience, our home, our main family gets new content. So that's when I started getting in front of the camera. Right. It was never my intent. I never intended to be anything more than just the camera guy sidekick. But as we all know, that's not how it ended.
And you kind of started in underwater too. Like you were going to be like
right.
You did sharks and a lot of stuff like that.
Because I was very fascinated by scuba diving. And we had not really made much content at all under the water. We had done some aquatic creatures where we'd catch them and bring them to the surface. But in terms of like really doing dive adventures like the Jacques Cousteau version of Brave Wilderness, I figured that was open turf. I'll start there. First video I ever made for Brave Wilderness was actually when I was on a family vacation to Iceland. Wow. And I did the world's clearest water, the Silfra Fissure. Mm-hmm. And that video did really well, actually. Like I was surprised how much the audience embraced it. I think it had a lot to do with the fact that it was more new content. And we had a huge audience wanting more content. So
I didn't realize that was your first one.
Yeah. That was the first experimental Ken Mark host. And I was so nervous. I was so nervous. And it's hard to it's hard to put myself back in that now because I'm so comfortable with like cameras running and being recorded. But back then, the idea of me having to lead a conversation on camera made me very nervous. Like I definitely one of those people that has to get over like stage fright and speaking in front of large groups. Like when I was younger, I would have like just wilted even doing this. Yeah. So like that for me was a big moment to like, I had a script written for my interview and Ryan, our editor who works in Columbus still, God bless him. He worked through that with me and had to do so many retakes. I must have done like 12 takes of an interview. It was bananas, but it ended up pretty good. So like that gave me the confidence for the audience response to like move forward, making content. And luckily we did because, you know, most TV shows don't keep going. And our Animal Planet show ended after 20 half hours. And, you know, keeping this audience engaged was very important. Clearly now in hindsight, but I knew at the time, like, this is what I need to do. So I actually only filmed, I think, 12 or 14 episodes of the 20 of the TV series. And then I moved back to YouTube full time and became a host. So that's where all of my videos started. And of course I graduated from doing the dive stuff during the pandemic because all the dive boats shut down. I mean, that's really what got me doing land adventures really was the fact I couldn't do any more diving. And I had to do selfie videos. I had to like bring the camera.
Remember those?
Yeah.
Some clamming.
Gosh, what else did I do on my own? Tide pool. I did a tide pool video on my own, like little crabs, nothing good. But it gave me the confidence to say like, okay, like I'm going to start doing this on land.
When did the thought cross your mind to maybe go through with some of the stings?
I think it was always on my mind because they're so successful. As you guys know now, for a normal animal adventure video to go big, it has to be like a sensationally weird animal or an amazing like catch that we could never have predicted. The circumstances of it have to be viral versus the sting videos. The circumstances of that are already viral. So it's like a built-in automatically going to work type of video. And I found, because I designed them, right, the original with Coyote, I found them very fascinating. Just really inspired by Justin. And there's always a question in the back of my mind, like, could I do that? Because everybody reacts differently to venom and stings. And I'd been stung, of course, you know, unintentionally many times filming these videos with Coyote. I knew I could get stung, but I didn't know if I had the guts to do it in front of a crew and do it again and again and again. So that was the big question mark. Yeah. So you guys come along. I'm already doing some stings, but I had not done the bullet ant yet. And Andrew, we did the bloodworm bite.
Mm-hmm.
That was your first shoot. And then your second shoot was about a month after?
Yeah, just about a month. Yep.
Yeah. And we went out to Costa Rica, right back in the same spot here at Brian's. Got ourselves a bullet ant. But what was our idea?
They were everywhere. That was the big thing that
Yeah.
I thought like, you know, you see this video and it kind of like builds up the lore of it, and then we get there, we get to the top of the lodge, and there's just like one at the tip of a leaf. There's like, you can just kind of like see them everywhere, like, oh, we're surrounded.
Yeah. And, you know, people are usually unnecessarily fearful of like getting bit by a venomous snake when you're in these places, even though it can happen. You need to look out for them, but they're super rare. Bullet ants are not rare.
Oh yeah, they're always watching you. They're always watching.
And what was your feeling like going into this environment, having seen the bullet ant video? Were you nervous like going in?
Oh,
And
yeah,
you can answer
absolutely.
too, Asa, too, because you've
Yeah.
been as well.
Yeah, I was absolutely nervous. So that, you know, there's so much biodensity there that like I had never seen that type of life in such a concentrated area before. Like, you know, you're walking down this path and everything that you're seeing for the first time is a new species, you know, if you've never been to the jungle. And then also the famous bullet ant is just everywhere. It's definitely nerve-wracking. And you definitely want to, there's a big instinct to tiptoe when you first get there.
They're so quiet. If
Yeah.
you can hear them crawling, like you can hear them crawling around. It's wild.
It's definitely intimidating seeing them at first. I didn't realize how big they were until I saw them in person. Like I was kind of shocked by it because it was probably like 5 times larger than any other ant I had ever seen.
Yeah.
But then you also quickly realize, and I think this is largely because I was with you and Brian and stuff, you guys were so calm around them that it instantly made me more calm because you guys were like, oh, they're not aggressive. Like
No,
you have to agitate them to get them to sting you. And then the thing I was told to watch out for were feral ants. So that's the thing that then was on my mind because I was like, if they're warning me to watch out for that, but don't be worried about the bullet ant stinging you, then I'm like, I better watch my step. And we did see some when I was there.
Oh, feral ants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they camouflage incredibly well into the leaf litter.
And if you're bitten by a feral ants, which is a viper, for anyone who doesn't know, they're responsible for killing more people than any other snake in the like Central and South America. So they're very prevalent. They're very well camouflaged, and their bite is very, very bad. So you were right to be concerned.
Yeah.
But, you know, thinking back on this video and ideating it, we tried to do a combo because we were trying to work through, like, get me into the sting club or something. Like, you know, so we did a bite versus a sting. So we did a whole thing with leafcutter ants.
It was very gamified. We had a lot of, it was definitely not the brave wilderness of that era, the original bullet ant era. It was we were very like kind of moving from scene to scene in not the most like organic way.
Mm-hmm.
We were definitely on the hunt for, you know, our targets, the bullet ant and the soldier leafcutter ant. But yeah, very, very gamified.
Yeah.
It felt.
Swapping the characters wasn't enough for the sequel. We wanted to like
do
level
something
it
different.
up
Yeah.
and try new things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, from your perspective, we did the leafcutter ant first. What was that like for you, seeing that?
That was in some ways more metal than the bullet ant because you know, you did 5 for anyone who hasn't seen the video. 5 bullet ants. I mean 5 soldier leafcutter ants, pardon me.
Yeah, look at those jaws.
They have, for the audio listeners, they have massive jaws that are just designed to slice you.
They're like garden shears.
Yeah, they really are. They're like miniature garden shears. And like the actual swarming scene was very, very real. Like when you started stomping on the nest, or pardon me, I don't want to say stomping on the nest. But when
no, I did.
Yeah.
Well,
you
stomping around the nest.
Yeah. When you went to get the soldier ants going, they were
show
everywhere.
up.
Yeah, they show up and they get on everyone. They
Everyone
do not
got bit.
discriminate. Yeah.
That's definitely the difference between the two is they are so much more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like they are ready to go the second they see you.
We to compare them, we wanted to do 60 seconds of each.
Just nuts.
This one's more like more like
Yeah.
torturous for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah, it's a flesh wound for sure. Let's watch this. Let's watch 60 seconds. We'll watch each 60 seconds in its entirety just to relive it, and we'll discuss.
Oh, they're breaking the skin. Ah!
Man, that hurts. Ah! Ah!
Hurts so freaking bad.
Ah! Oh!
That one's got a pretty good swath of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
The way they
what's
just
the
tilt their head
time?
back and forth as they like grind
They're
into
just
you.
annihilating my skin, just popping holes. Ah!
And it's like
Oh.
a squeeze.
Oh,
It's like
razor
imagine
pinches.
taking a pair of tweezers.
They're just like
sharp tweezers,
slicing through my skin
squeezing
like
it as hard
butter.
as you can
Oh, give me a countdown. There's gotta be
for the
close.
people.
All right, 10.
8, 7,
Ah!
5, 4, don't move your hand. 3, 2, 1.
Ah, get them off, get them off, get them off. God, they won't come off. Ah! Ah, they just bite harder. Oh, get off me.
So people think, I've seen some comments, people think that this is acting.
No. Like, I'm off to the side, and as soon as you
Yeah.
get the final one off, I'm like, what the hell just happened?
What was that like for you? Because this is your first time. I mean, you saw me you saw me getting bitten by a bloodworm, right?
Yeah.
But this is your first time seeing me like literally get savaged.
Yeah, the bloodworm, it felt like there was science to it. I was interested in, plus as a fisherman of being prize fishing bait, so that was interesting. There was a bigger question of what the bite would be like, but we kind of knew that this would be the outcome, and we did it anyway. So at that point, it's like just masochism, just pain.
And did you see this one come out?
Yeah. This came out like a month before I joined the team.
Oh, really? So you're like
Yeah,
interviewing.
so this was fresh, and I had just watched it. Yeah, like I think when I saw the job posting, and I was like,
sign me up for that.
yeah. And I was like, these guys are pretty hardcore. He's really upping the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything for a sequel, we were just trying to do it bigger. So 60 seconds was with 5 ants instead of just 1 ant. That was how we did it, and it was bad. But I could tell you guys from my experience that was nothing compared to what we're about to revisit, the bullet ant for 60 seconds. So yeah, let me go back here. So we got the bullet ant, 60 seconds on the clock. So I didn't know if this was going to work. Was I nervous to get stung by, like I told you, I'd taken a little micro sting before, so I knew sort of what the welt would do to me. But I didn't know if I was going to be able to like get this thing to sting me for 60 seconds or not, because all the stings that I'd witnessed prior to this, it was like poke, poke, poke. Like, is it really going to actually like sit here and just pump venom into me for a full minute? I didn't think so. I thought it was going to be like maybe 5 or 6 stings. Not what you're about to see.
2,
And I was super nervous.
3.
Stings right
Finger
away.
going in. Oh, I got that shot. Oh,
It's almost like an IV tap.
oh, that hurts. Oh, the stinger's still in me.
So
Mark, you
stop
gotta
the
stop
clock.
the clock every time you take
All
it.
right. Oh man, it really burns.
You have to hold it on there for
Oh.
a whole minute.
Oh yeah. You can see the stinger going in the skin. You see
like
that?
mainlining venom.
Oh man, and he's just like working it in.
That thing did not have any
Oh,
more
my
venom
gosh.
to give after
Oh.
this 60 seconds.
30 seconds.
Ooh. Oh, the stinger's in there, just pumping me full of venom.
Mark, you okay?
No.
Andrew asked if I was okay. Nice little homage.
Oh yeah, you see the stinger going in and out? It's getting me again. What's the time?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Woof. It lit me up for all 60 seconds.
Like, there's
You
so
can
much
see-
redness and so much irritation immediately. Usually it takes a few minutes for that to kick in from an insect sting, but like it was so red and inflamed immediately. I was like, ooh, oh man.
Yeah. from all the stings and bites seen at this point, like looking back on this video, I'm like, I can immediately tell how bad of a sting that is.
It was just wretched.
Yeah,
It was.
I think there's a pretty good shot of your forearm like immediately afterwards from the. I think it's from the macro cam where you get a good sense of.
You could see there. It's probably a little bit bigger than a golf ball
Yeah.
and super tore up.
Just spreading too. You can see like some splotching going on, like kind of wrapping down your forearm.
The ant was fine, by the way. Just for anyone who cares about the ant, we let it go. It was fine. I was not fine. The pain from this aftermath.
How did it rank in acuteness to the leaf cutter ant? Like in that moment,
It's a different kind of pain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know when your skin is getting sliced, and your brain knows like the mechanical damage is really immediate,
Right.
And how long that's going to take to repair. So there's something in your brain, and you see the blood, and you're like, bad. Don't lose blood. Venom is a pain, but it's certainly the aftermath, especially on this one that is the real story. So the bullet ant's also called the 24-hour ant. It's probably worth mentioning, in that the pain is just horrific for a full day. And for me, that was absolutely true in this case. We did some filming at night here. I could not sleep. That's me filming myself. You can see just how bad.
Oh,
jeez.
Look at all the redness. Look at how swollen.
Your arm is literally a full red water balloon.
And it all settled toward my elbow. I wonder if we have a shot of that.
I think you do poke it.
Like, look at that. Look at the size difference. You can see no definition in this arm. It's just
It's
inflated.
like elephantitis. It's like
The bullet ant was the winner.
yeah. I think you had declared the leaf cutter ant worse for like immediate pain, but then like the aftermath, of course, just crushed.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives birth to the BSI a little bit.
Yeah, that's where we started thinking about this, which we now have created our own sting index, the bite sting index, to try to quantify some of the other factors around a sting. So Justin, his sting index was the immediate sting only. He was just basing his pain scale off of the sting alone, one score from 1 to 4. And I don't want to speak badly about that score, but it was very scientific in his approach. For us, we're like 1 out of 4 doesn't really register for most people. Everything's out of 10. So we're going to make ours out of 10, and we're not going to just leave it to the sting. We're going to talk about the nerves and anticipation, which is the intimidation factor. We're going to talk about the sting, of course, but then the aftermath, because there are stings like this where the aftermath is the worst part without question. So it needs to be quantified in the index. If you let's pull up our sting index. So Andrew, what was it like while I'm pulling this up? Just like your reflection of that trip, your first time seeing someone get savaged by a bullet ant like that.
Oh man, it was definitely not realizing what I had signed up for to a degree, but it was, it was also kind of rewarding in the way that like, I wanted to come and make good YouTube videos, and there was definitely that aspect of built-in virality to that moment. So, it's definitely a feeling that the almost the cameraman guilt of like, oh, that was awesome, but like, ooh, are you okay? Like, that's definitely a feeling that's going through my mind.
I'm able to remove myself from the character pretty easily, and the character being the person on screen, which is me. I get it's really me, but it's a product of me. Right? Like this podcast is definitely more really me, right? This is really us, where that is a produced, intentional, demonstration of something that we pre-planned. And for me, I look at that as like, it's a performance. It's, I can detach myself from it, so I can appreciate the fact of that pay dirt very quickly.
Oh yeah.
As soon as the real pain was done the next day, I was like, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like that is going to smash.
And it also gives more gravitas to like something like the centipede bite, where you are in character, but then eventually you kind of break character, and you're just drop a stray F-bomb and like and just walk away, which is like that is an actual indication to like us. I think that like, oh, this is really bad.
Yeah.
And to keep rolling.
I can hold it together to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I break a couple times.
Yeah.
I've broken.
Yeah. Check out the centipede video if you haven't yet. It's something.
That's actually in between the scorpion and ant.
So there we go. Look at the bullet ant. It's number 2 right now on the BSI. Is it still number 2 or is this not updated?
It's number 3. So centipede will go in between.
Okay, so it's number 3. Sorry, Justin. You know, I'm also rating arachnids and centipedes, so not quite fair.
It's the top insect.
It is the top insect.
Yep.
That's true. So there you go, Justin. Insect sting index still very valid to this day. But this is our bite sting index, and our goal, is to try to do 100 different stings and bites. What are we at currently? I know there's more than this.
There's 4 more.
4 more. Okay,
I believe.
got it. So we're
Looks like we are going after the hairy panther.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can. It is. They say there's hallucinogenic properties
Ooh.
Wow.
to that one,
Very interesting.
and I can attest. And I know there's no evidence because we never released the video, which maybe we will. Coyote had some, like his pupils dilated. It was weird.
Oh,
Whoa.
Way different
Okay.
reaction than the bullet ant sting.
It's so cool that it feels like we've been doing this for like, of course not as long as you, but like a little while. But there's still so much out there to canvas, and you guys have done that already. Like there's it's a huge world, and there's a whole lot of creepy, stingy things.
Have you guys
out there.
heard about the Wallace bee?
Yeah, giant bee.
This is probably the highest on my list. Right
Yeah,
now of,
I
like,
think
ones
that
to
would
do.
be so awesome. to
Where do they
film.
live?
I was literally thinking about that this morning.
They live in Asia.
Yeah, they're pretty hard to find apparently.
You have to catch them in a trap
Oh
almost.
my gosh.
Yeah, they're huge.
Like talk about it's like a gigantic mammoth wasp.
Mm-hmm.
This
Which is already gigantic.
Yeah,
very.
it kind of makes me think of like the giant black carpenter bee and a mammoth wasp. Like if they merged, because it's got the thickness of the.
But it's scarier
Carpenter.
than both of them. Look at those.
Yeah,
look
those,
at those jaws.
weird jaws.
Oh man!
Wow.
Maybe someday. That's one where we'll just have to be right place, right time. Almost like the mammoth wasp worked out.
I'm also excited for hairy panther because the west coast of Costa Rica, a lot of biodiversity. Great if you're a herper.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of things to do. It's very remote. I'm excited to go. Oh, pardon me. I'm talking about the East Coast.
Oh yeah, I was say the East
Yeah.
Coast. I was like the West Coast has lots to do.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
excited to go to Costa Rica,
Yeah.
to go to the West Coast where the hairy panther is, and then we'll.
Yeah. Can I
See
see
the
a picture
ocean.
of the hairy panther?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's kind of like
okay.
a giant trap jaw ant a little bit.
Yeah.
In the look.
Sits lower. It looks like pretty consistently. Like it's
Little sports car.
And they're good size.
yeah.
We found one in a not Brian. The property we on had like this little bridge, and there was a PVC pipe for the handles.
Uh-huh.
And there was this ant was hiding in that PVC pipe, so we had to fish it out. We staked out this pipe for like, I want to say like 2 nights in a row to catch this ant.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, it's a cool video. We really should think about releasing it. Tell us in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube if you want to see the mistake bullet ant, hairy panther ant sting, because it's pretty cool. But what was I gonna say? For us, we went down this path of like super sensationalized stings, but I think we experimented with that stuff, but we've landed in a place now where it's very much about the BSI.
Mm-hmm.
So the bite sting index is certainly like way more scientific. I'm proud of it because it's not only like leading people to be educated about the environment and these animals, but they can really understand like the full spectrum of the experience of being stung. And these are stings that you might have happen to you. Like, I don't think either of you got stung by a bullet ant, but it could have happened very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Brian's been stung many times, like gardening and things like that. So it does happen, and it's good to know what your outcome's going to be. We get comments all the time from people who are stung or bitten by things, and they tell us how much they appreciate the videos because it allows them to sort of have like a Ghost of Christmas Future experience, and they get to see what they're in for and what to do. A lot of times we talk about the first aid. Something like a bullet ant sting, there's not much to do. There can be like sting ointments that help reduce some of like the topical pain, but nothing to get out of it. You just got to endure.
Yeah.
We did do one other bullet ant sting. No, we did. Did we do 2? Was the uncut also the BSI?
Yep. That
Yeah,
was
So
the
same
regular
one.
That was the
BSI.
introduction
Yep.
to the BSI.
Right. So we did a third one where we did a bullet ant sting uncut, or to the best of our, but we had like 2 or 3 cuts in it, I think. But the idea, and that was your experience seeing me stung by a bullet ant, but
Yep.
that one is very much just to rate it for the BSI. So that's
Yep.
how we got it as a 9-1. But what was your, just quickly, like what was your like experience watching this?
I mean, I thought it was going to be the worst sting I ever saw you take.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it just had that hype around it. I can't remember at this point. I think we had done Arizona together the initial time.
We had not done the bark scorpion though,
No.
which is the number 1.
Yeah. None of the really bad stuff in Arizona. But I'd seen you do the velvet ant's bad, not to downplay that. But
Yeah.
I thought this would be worse. I guess since I had seen you do the 60 seconds before, I was like not too worried about you taking a singular bullet ant sting at this point. Like it had just been so well covered that I was curious to see like what your instant reaction would be, because it's so different seeing it in person than it is through a video.
Totally. It's definitely different being obviously like behind the camera.
Yeah, it still gave you a good goose egg. I was really worried about also, I mean, it's always worrying about getting the shot and then making sure it happens. I didn't know what to expect in terms of tracking them down either. There was always still like, no matter what, even if it's easy to find, we still never know if we're really going to get them.
No, you never know. That's the fun for us, at least as the filmmakers behind making these videos, is we get to go through that. Are we going to find it experience? It's real. For
Always a
us.
treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we have a lot more ahead. We'll probably do a whole separate podcast on that bark scorpion sting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Being still the reigning champ, the number 1. Close. It's close. The centipede is very close. But yeah, man, the bullet ant have not found a stinging insect that can outclass all the factors of what the bullet ant experience is. Shout out to the one and only Justin Schmidt, man. What a legend. Can you believe this guy did this? Like he did this for his PhD.
Wow.
Crazy project to take on.
Yeah. What a wild man.
What an effort.
Yeah.
Cool guy. Very
Respect
cool
to
guy.
him.
I'm really was honored I got to meet him. And if you want to read the book, it's like I said, it's available still. It's in print. And yeah, guys, that was a good one. We covered a lot of ground there.
Yeah.
I have one surprise though.
Oh.
Guesses what's in the
man.
box.
He just brought a mysterious box onto the table.
Let me get a shot at it. What's in the box?
Oh.
All right. So to introduce the box, and my special surprise to end this podcast,
Stick your hand in Asa. It's a bullet ant.
Doing this job, this is a cool job. Would you guys agree? Like, it's a cool job
Oh,
to
yeah.
do this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still like pinching myself every day that we get to go around the world filming insects and crazy animal adventures and all this stuff that, millions and millions of people have now enjoyed. And it's just like humbling to get to do all this, but it's also really freaking hard. Like, hopefully through the stories that we tell on this podcast, the audience will get clued in just about how much of a struggle this can be. And it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody to, go and sweat it out in a jungle, get stung by things, get bitten by God knows what kind of animals and insects. Like, it happens to all of us. And, people who make it here at Brave Wilderness, they tend to stay because it's like, it kind of like changes you.
It's
You
a
know?
lifestyle
It
more
is.
than
Yeah, it
just
is.
like clocking in and out.
It is. And, over the years, we've had some people that don't make it. They don't make the cut. And it's usually pretty obvious. It's usually like within the first couple of months. But, you guys have been with me now for years. Andrew, you're at what at this point?
Closing in on 3.
Closing in on 3. And then Asa just crossed 2.
Yep.
And the reason I know that is because when you cross 2 years with us, I consider you like core to the team. I consider you like you've made it. Like you've proven yourself, and you've gotten to the point where like I can look at you and be like, you're true Brave Wilderness now. And for Andrew's 2-year, what'd I get you?
Got me a watch.
What, you want to show the camera real quick?
Sure.
What kind of watch is that?
A Tudor Ranger, which is very fitting
Yes.
because it's it's a great watch, but it's no frills, really bare bones, awesome, just workhorse of a watch.
Yes.
I love it. I wear it every day.
And we're watch guys. So
yeah, we're watch nerds.
Yeah, I'm wearing my vintage sub today. Like we love adventure watches. So Asa, because you've made it 2 years and you're part of the team, that's your box.
Oh gosh.
Ooh.
Oh, this is so exciting.
What do you think it is? Besides, I know it's obviously a watch, but do you have any guess?
I have no guess.
It's going to be gigantic and
slow.
obnoxious, just like you. No, I'm kidding. This is amazing.
Oh my gosh. This
Wow.
is crazy.
So
This is so cool.
it's a Mito world timer.
Wow.
And I feel like I know you well enough now to like kind of know, we've looked at enough watches together to know your personality. And I saw this watch and I was like, that is Asa's watch for sure.
Dude, this is awesome. Thank
What
you
a-
so much.
Dude, you're welcome. So that world timer, you can basically use the bezel to set it to any world clock so you know what time it is around the world. That's what a world timer does.
Should I like hold it up to one
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
sure. You
cameras?
just show it to this one, mate.
It's gonna be out of the
Frame, but
look at that.
That's sweet.
and it comes with a stainless bracelet too. So
Yeah,
if you,
yeah, I got
if you want
that.
to dress it up a little bit,
Yeah.
That's very you.
Yeah, it is. It's a little flashy, but it's like
well, you got to wear it. That's what I
Yeah.
told Andrew. I'm like, you
Oh,
have to
yeah.
wear it.
no, I'm gonna wear it for sure.
It'll
I
get
actually I love the color.
pretty cool, huh?
So cool.
Well, you earned it.
Yeah. Thank
2 years in, hopefully many, many more adventures to come. And then,
you.
yeah,
Put it on.
thanks for everybody for listening to the podcast.
Wow.
Try it on. Try it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it on.
We got to see it on wrist.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of funk too. which
It
is
does.
new. Yeah.
It does, which I'm like kind of pumped about.
Woo!
Look at that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Thank
Cool
you.
watch, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Wear it proudly.
Yeah, I will. You guys will see me wearing it like every day now. Gotta break it in.
I hope so. Well, it's, Asa, amongst going on our trips, you're also a world traveler.
Yeah.
you like
I
to
do.
travel.
I do like to travel a lot.
You've been to China and all kinds of places that we
Yeah.
have never been. So that watch will hopefully
Yeah.
go well with you through life.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
Oh man.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this look into some of the most famous Sting videos and learning more about us and what we do. If you want to know anything else, tell us in the comments what kind of subjects you guys want us to cover on this podcast. But for us on Becoming Brave, that's going to do it for today. See you next time.